The forbidden vessel, the ghost in the void in the depths of space where dying stars cast their final light across the cosmic dark, there floated a ship that should not exist. The eternal sentinel hung motionless against the backdrop of a red giant's fading glow, its hull gleaming with an impossible perfection that defied the ravages of time and space. For 43 years, it had been there, waiting, silent, untouchable. The first to discover it were the Saurian Republic's deep space scouts. They found the vessel drifting near the edge of the Terminus Nebula, its sleek design unlike anything in their databases. The hull bore markings in a script they recognized but hadn't seen in decades, human writing. Commander Thex of the Saurian Third Fleet remembered that day clearly. His scaled hands had trembled as he studied the readings on his command screens. The ship showed no life signs, no energy signatures, no response to hails. By all measurements, it was dead. Yet something about it felt very much alive. "Send a boarding party," he had ordered, his reptilian eyes fixed on the mysterious vessel. Full environmental suits, maximum caution. The boarding shuttles launched within the hour. 6 of the Republic's finest soldiers, armed with plasma cutters and breaching charges, approached the human ship with military precision. Their mission was simple: board, explore, claim whatever technology they could find. They never made it past the hull. As the first shuttle drew within 50 meters of the Eternal Sentinel, something extraordinary happened. The ship's surface began to glow with a soft golden light. Energy patterns danced across its hull like living circuits. Then, without warning, a pulse of pure force erupted outward. The boarding shuttles were not destroyed. They were simply pushed away, sent tumbling through space with their crews unconscious but unharmed. When the Saurian soldiers woke, they found their equipment mysteriously drained of power and their memories of the approach strangely clouded. Commander Thex tried 17 more times over the following months. Each attempt ended the same way. The ship would glow, pulse, and gently but firmly reject all borders. The pattern emerges word of the mysterious vessel spread quickly through the known systems. Within a year, representatives from dozens of species had arrived to study the phenomenon. The ethereal collectives sent their most advanced quantum physicists. The Mechanoid Syndicate deployed their finest artificial intelligences. The Zephyrian trade union offered massive rewards for successful salvage. All failed. The ethereals, beings of pure crystalline thought, attempted to interface directly with the ship's systems through telepathic resonance. The moment their consciousness touched the vessel's hull, they were overwhelmed by visions of vast human cities, technological marvels, and a deep sadness that spoke of great loss. They retreated, shaken by emotions they rarely experienced. The Mechanoids tried a different approach, using quantum tunneling devices and phase shift technology to bypass the ship's defenses entirely. The Eternal Sentinel responded by temporarily altering local spacetime, creating gravitational anomalies that sent the mechanical beings spinning harmlessly back into open space. Even the enigmatic void wraiths, masters of dark matter manipulation, found themselves unable to penetrate whatever force protected the human ship. Their shadowcraft simply passed through empty space where the vessel should have been, as if the ship existed in a different dimension entirely. As years passed, the Eternal Sentinel became a legend. Alien scholars wrote treatises about its defensive systems. Military strategists studied its capabilities. Religious leaders declared it a divine test. But none could answer the fundamental question: why was it there, and what was it waiting for? The Scavenger's approach Captain Zara Voss had heard all the stories, of course. Every spacer in the outer systems knew about the ghost ship near the Terminus Nebula. Most gave it a wide berth, but Zara wasn't most spacers. At 34, she had spent half her life salvaging wrecks and forgotten relics from the deep void. Her ship, the Wanderer's Hope, was a patchwork of salvaged parts and jury-rigged systems that somehow managed to stay spaceworthy through sheer stubbornness and creative engineering. Like its captain, the ship had survived by being resourceful, adaptable, and just a little bit crazy. Zara had been born on New Avalon, one of the last human colonies to maintain contact with Earth before the Great Silence. She remembered her grandmother's stories about the old homeworld, about the vast fleets that once carried human explorers to every corner of the galaxy. Those fleets had vanished overnight 47 years ago, leaving scattered human colonies cut off and alone, among the stars. Most humans had integrated into alien societies or formed small enclaves on frontier worlds. A few, like Zara, had taken to the void itself, living between worlds and owing allegiance to no species but their own stubborn hearts. The decision to approach the Eternal Sentinel hadn't been planned. Zara was running low on fuel and supplies after a particularly difficult salvage operation in the Scorpion sector. The Terminus Nebula was on her route home, and curiosity had always been her weakness. Besides, she muttered to herself as she adjusted course toward the legendary vessel, someone's got to try eventually. Might as well be me. The Wanderer's Hope dropped out of hyperspace 3,000 kilometers from the Eternal Sentinel. Zara's first view of the ship through her viewport took her breath away. Even at this distance, she could see that it was magnificent, easily 3 times the size of her own vessel, with clean lines that spoke of advanced human engineering. But it was more than just its size or design that struck her. There was something familiar about it, something that resonated in her bones. "Computer, scan the vessel," she commanded. "Scanning," replied the ship's AI in its flat, mechanical voice. "Hull composition. Unknown alloy with quantum-locked molecular structure. Energy readings. Minimal but stable. Life signs. Inconclusive. Warning. Multiple debris fields detected nearby. Evidence of previous approach attempts." Zara studied the scanner data, noting the twisted wreckage of dozens of alien craft scattered around the ship like offerings at a shrine. None appeared to have been destroyed violently. They looked more like they had simply been discouraged. She opened a communication channel on all frequencies. "Eternal Sentinel, this is Captain Zara Voss of the independent vessel Wanderers. Hope, I'm approaching your position. Please respond." Silence. Zara tried again, this time in the ancient Sol standard that her grandmother had taught her. "Terra Vessel Eternal Sentinel, this is Captain Zara Voss, New Avalon Registry, requesting permission to come aboard." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the distant ship began to glow. The recognition, unlike the harsh, repelling energy that had greeted alien visitors, the light emanating from the Eternal Sentinel was warm and welcoming. Golden patterns flowed across its hull like a heartbeat made visible, and for the first time in 43 years, the ship's communication array came to life. "Captain Voss," came a voice over the comm system, distinctly human, distinctly female, with an accent Zara couldn't quite place. "We have been waiting." Zara's hands froze over her controls. Who is this?" "I am the Keeper," the voice replied. "Guardian of the Eternal Sentinel and protector of humanity's final gift to the galaxy. You may approach, Captain. The ship recognizes your genetic markers as authentic human stock. You are welcome here." As Zara guided her ship closer, she noticed something extraordinary happening around her. The debris fields, the wreckage of failed alien attempts, were beginning to move. Piece by piece, chunk by chunk, they were being drawn toward the Eternal Sentinel's hull, where they simply vanished. "What's happening to the debris?" she asked. "Recycling," the Keeper explained matter-of-factly. "The Sentinel has been using alien materials to repair and upgrade itself for decades. Nothing is wasted. Every attempt to breach our defenses has only made us stronger." The docking bay that opened to receive Zara's ship was clearly designed for human vessels. The Wanderer's Hope settled into the berth with mechanical precision, guided by systems that seemed to anticipate her every need. Atmospheric pressure equalized with a soft hiss, and gravity plates activated to provide standard human-comfortable conditions. Zara performed her pre-departure checks with shaking hands. She was about to become the first person in over 4 decades to board a ship built by her own species' greatest minds. The airlock cycled, and she stepped into a corridor that glowed with soft, warm light. The interior of the Eternal Sentinel was beyond anything she had imagined. The walls seemed to be alive, their surfaces flowing like liquid metal while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Holographic displays provided information in multiple human languages, and the air carried a faint scent of rain and growing, things that reminded her of home. "Welcome aboard, Captain Voss," the keeper's voice echoed from speakers hidden throughout the ship. "Please, make your way to the central command chamber. We have much to discuss, and time grows short." As Zara walked through corridors that adjusted their lighting to her presence, she began to understand that the Eternal Sentinel was not just a ship. It was something far more significant. A guardian, a test, and perhaps humanity's greatest achievement. But she would not fully comprehend its true purpose until she reached the heart of the vessel and learned why it had been waiting all these years in the dark between the stars. The command chamber doors opened before her with a whisper of displaced air, revealing wonders that would challenge everything she thought she knew about her species' place in the universe. The ancient protocol, the heart of the ship, the central command chamber of the Eternal Sentinel, was unlike anything Zara had ever imagined. The room stretched in all directions, its boundaries lost in a soft blue-white glow that seemed to emanate from the very air itself. Holographic displays floated throughout the space, showing star maps, technical schematics, and data streams in languages both familiar and utterly alien. At the center of it all stood a figure that made Zara's breath catch in her throat. The keeper was unmistakably human, but not entirely real. Her form flickered occasionally, revealing the holographic projectors that sustained her image. She appeared to be a woman in her 40s, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that held the weight of decades. Her clothing was a style Zara recognized from historical records, the formal uniform of the old Earth Deep Space Command. "Hello, Zara," the keeper said, her voice warm with genuine affection. "I know you have questions. Please, sit. Let me tell you why you're here." A chair materialized from the floor, perfectly adjusted to Zara's height and weight. As she settled into it, the keeper began to pace, her movements carrying the unconscious authority of someone accustomed to command. My original name, was Admiral Sarah Chen. I commanded the Earth Defense Fleet during humanity's final days in this sector of the galaxy. When it became clear that our people could no longer maintain their presence here, I volunteered for the Eternal Sentinel project. Zara leaned forward. "What was the project?" "A test," Admiral Chen replied simply. "You see, Zara, humanity didn't simply abandon this part of space. We were forced out. Not by any single enemy, but by the collective actions of dozens of species who saw our rapid expansion as a threat. They formed what they called the Containment Coalition, dedicated to limiting human influence in the galaxy. The holographic displays around them shifted, showing images of vast space battles, burning colonies, and refugee ships fleeing into the unknown. Zara watched with growing horror as the history of her people's exodus unfolded before her eyes. "They didn't want to destroy us entirely," Chen continued. "That would have been too obvious, too direct. Instead, they systematically sabotaged our supply lines, our communication networks, our trade relationships. They made it impossible for human civilization to thrive in this region of space." "But why?" Zara asked. "What made them so afraid of us?" Admiral Chen smiled sadly. "The same thing that has always made humanity unique among the species of the galaxy, our adaptability. While other races specialized in single areas of development, humans excelled at everything. We were scientists and warriors, traders and artists, engineers and philosophers. We formed alliances easily, learned languages quickly, and integrated alien technologies with an ease that unsettled established powers. The displays showed scenes of human colonies where multiple alien species lived and worked together in harmony, something that was rare elsewhere in the galaxy. Zara saw humans serving as mediators in interspecies conflicts, as innovators solving problems that had stymied alien minds for centuries, as bridges between cultures that had never before found common ground. The Containment Coalition succeeded in driving humanity from this sector, Chen said. But before we left, we created the Eternal Sentinel as both a monument and a test. For 43 years, this ship has observed the species that forced us out. It has watched, learned, and judged. The Watcher's judgment as Admiral Chen spoke. The command chamber transformed around them. The walls became transparent, revealing the vast cosmos beyond. But these weren't just windows. They were sensors showing real-time data from across dozens of star systems. The Eternal Sentinel has been far more than just an observer, Chen explained. Using technology that was humanity's greatest achievement, combination of quantum consciousness and temporal mechanics, the ship has monitored every significant event in this region of space. Every war, every peace treaty, every act of compassion or cruelty. Zara watched in fascination as data streams flowed past her, chronicling decades of galactic history. She saw the Saurian Republic's expansion into former human territories, but also their eventual abandonment of those worlds when they proved too difficult to govern. She witnessed the ethereal collective's attempts to create a galactic peace council, only to see it collapse due to species-based prejudices. She observed the mechanoid syndicate's experiments with artificial life and their growing questions about the nature of consciousness itself. Each species has faced challenges that humanity once helped them overcome, Chen noted. Without human mediators, the galaxy has become more fragmented, more isolated. Wars that humans once prevented have consumed entire systems. Technologies that humans once shared freely have been hoarded or weaponized. So what happens now? Zara asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. Now, Zara Voss, you must choose. Admiral Chen's image solidified, becoming more real and present than before. The Eternal Sentinel contains not just the accumulated knowledge of human civilization, but also the means to act upon it. Hidden within this ship are technologies that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. Defensive systems that make entire fleets obsolete, terraforming devices that could create paradise worlds in decades instead of centuries, and most importantly, the key to breaking down the barriers between species. The chamber filled with new displays showing incredible machines, devices that could accelerate evolution, engines that folded space itself, and communication arrays that could link minds across interstellar distances. But, Chen continued, these technologies come with a choice. They can be used as weapons of conquest, ensuring human dominance over all other species, or they can be used as tools of cooperation, helping to build the kind of galaxy that humanity always dreamed of. One where diversity is strength, where differences are celebrated, and where no single species rules over others. The ancient network. Zara struggled to process the magnitude of what she was being told. New alarms began sounding throughout the ship. The displays around them shifted to show external sensors, revealing a sight that made her blood run cold. Dozens of ships were converging on their position. Saurian battlecruisers, ethereal research vessels, mechanoid constructor fleets, and others. It seemed that word of her successful boarding had spread quickly through the galactic community. "They're coming to stop you," Admiral Chen observed calmly. The same species that forced humanity from this region 43 years ago now realize what they're facing: the return of human influence backed by technology they can't understand or counter. "What do they want?" Zara asked, watching as the alien fleets took up aggressive formations around the Eternal Sentinel. Some want to destroy the ship before its secrets can be revealed. Others want to capture it and claim its technology for themselves. None of them are willing to accept the possibility that humanity might return to play a role in galactic affairs. Commander Thex's voice crackled over the communication system. "Human vessel, you are ordered to surrender immediately. Prepare to be boarded for inspection and confiscation of alien technologies." Similar demands came from the other fleets, each species claiming authority over the Eternal Sentinel and its contents. The irony wasn't lost on Zara. They were repeating the same mistakes that had led to humanity's exile decades earlier. "I won't let them have it," Zara said firmly. "Whatever this ship represents, whatever choice you're asking me to make, I won't let them take it." Admiral Chen smiled with genuine pride. "I hoped you would say that. But Zara, you need to understand the choice isn't just about keeping the ship out of their hands. The Eternal Sentinel was designed with a specific protocol in mind. If its existence is threatened, it can and will defend itself, but the manner of that defense depends entirely on you. The chamber's central display activated, showing two distinct options. The first was labeled Dominion Protocol, images of human fleets emerging from hidden bases of alien worlds being rapidly terraformed for human colonization, of humanity ruling the galaxy through superior technology. The second was labeled Unity Protocol, images of integrated societies, joint exploration missions, and technological exchanges that benefited all species. The ship's AI has spent 43 years analyzing galactic civilization, Chen explained. It has determined that forced unity under human leadership would be more stable and prosperous than the current chaos. The Dominion Protocol would make that happen within a matter of years. And the Unity Protocol would require much more work, much more time, and much more faith in the capacity of different species to change and grow. It would mean returning human knowledge to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as partners. The choice of generations, the alien fleets were moving closer, their weapons beginning to charge. Zara could see on the displays that several species were preparing to fire simultaneously, hoping to overwhelm the Eternal Sentinel's defenses through coordinated assault. "How long do I have to decide?" she asked. "Moments," Admiral Chen replied. "But Zara, I want you to know something that might help you choose. The Eternal Sentinel hasn't just been watching the major powers of the galaxy, it's also been monitoring the scattered human colonies, the small settlements that have survived on the margins of known space." New displays activated, showing images that made Zara's heart soar. She saw New Avalon, her homeworld, where humans had worked with Zephyrian refugees to develop new agricultural techniques that fed both species. She saw Port Haven, where a human trading post had become a neutral meeting ground for a dozen different races. She saw research stations, mining colonies, and exploration ships where humans served alongside aliens as equals, not rulers. "Humanity never really left the galaxy," Chen said softly. "We just stopped trying to dominate it, and in doing so, we discovered something remarkable. We're not meant to rule over other species. We're meant to help them become the best versions of themselves." The first weapons fired from the alien fleets, their energy beams converging on the Eternal Sentinel's position. Zara felt the ship's defenses activate, the golden shields that had protected it for decades flaring to life. "I've made my choice," Zara said, her hand moving toward the Unity Protocol activation switch. "Wait," Admiral Chen said urgently. "There's one more thing you need to know. The Unity Protocol doesn't just return human technology to the galaxy. It transforms the Eternal Sentinel itself into something new. A mobile embassy, a teaching platform, a bridge between worlds. But it means that I, the part of me that has lived in this ship for 43 years, will be gone. My consciousness will be distributed among all the ship's systems, becoming part of the greater network that will connect species across the galaxy." Zara paused, her hand hovering over the control. "You're asking me to kill you. I'm asking you to let me become something larger than myself," Chen replied. "Something that can help heal the wounds that drove humanity from this part of space. The choice is yours, Captain Voss. But whatever you decide quickly." The alien weapons. Fire was intensifying, and Zara could feel the ship's shields beginning to weaken under the coordinated assault. In a few minutes, the Eternal Sentinel's defenses would fail, and the alien fleets would board the ship by force. She looked at Admiral Chen one last time, seeing in the older woman's eyes the same determination that had driven human explorers to the stars in the first place. Then, without hesitation, Zara pressed the Unity Protocol activation switch. The new dawn, the transformation began immediately. The golden light that had protected the Eternal Sentinel for 43 years suddenly expanded outward, not as a weapon but as a communication beam. It touched each alien ship in the converging fleets, and for the first time in decades, minds that had never truly understood each other began to share thoughts and experiences directly. Commander Thex felt human memories of exploration and wonder flooding through his reptilian consciousness. Prime Cathara experienced human emotions of loss and hope, mixing with her crystalline logic. Across dozens of ships, alien beings suddenly understood what humanity had always tried to offer the galaxy, not domination, but partnership. The Eternal. Sentinel itself was changing, its hull becoming transparent in places, revealing the magnificent technologies within. But these were no longer weapons or tools of conquest. They had transformed into instruments of cooperation. Communication arrays that could translate not just languages, but entire worldviews, medical systems that could adapt to any biology, and most importantly, educational platforms that could teach any species to understand and work with any other. Admiral Chen's image began to fade, but her voice remained strong. "Thank you, Zara. You've chosen the harder path, but the right one. The Eternal Sentinel will no longer be a single ship. It will become the heart of a new network, connecting human colonies with alien worlds, sharing knowledge and resources freely across the galaxy." As the transformation completed, Zara felt the ship's systems integrating with her own consciousness. She could sense the minds of the alien fleet commanders, no longer hostile, but curious and amazed. She could feel the presence of human colonies across dozens of star systems, suddenly reconnected after decades of isolation. And she could perceive the vast potential of a galaxy where species work together instead of against each other. The Eternal Sentinel began to move not away from the alien fleets but toward them. Docking bays opened on its hull, inviting representatives from each species aboard. For the first time in 43 years, aliens would walk the corridors of a human starship, not as conquerors or captives, but as guests and potential partners. Captain Zara Voss, now serving as humanity's first ambassador to the restored galactic community, stood in the command chamber and smiled. The choice had been difficult, but it had been the right one. Humanity was returning to the galaxy not as the dominant species they could have become, but as the bridge builders they were always meant to be. The age of isolation was ending. The age of cooperation had begun. And somewhere in the quantum networks that now connected the Eternal Sentinel to every corner of known space, the consciousness that had once been Admiral Sarah Chen lived on, helping to weave the bonds that would unite the galaxy in ways that no single species could have achieved alone.